We recorded a music video with Snoop Dogg. We did the Super Bowl halftime show with Beyonce. I think everyone on the outside is looking in. Like Marissa's just hanging out with all of these incredible artists and going to these really intimate shows and literally attending the Grammys, the Golden Globes, walking the red carpet, just like hanging with celebrities. And this really was my life. But even though it was an incredible experience, it wasn't what I wanted to be doing. I wanted to try entrepreneurship. I didn't want to have a boss. I wanted to kind of just do my own thing and live a different life. So I wanted to travel. And so I restarted everything.
This is the Maverick Show, where you'll meet today's most interesting real estate investors, entrepreneurs, and world travelers, and learn the strategies and tactics they use to succeed. And now, here's your host, Matt Bowles.
Hey everybody, it's Matt Bowles. Welcome to the Maverick Show. My guest today is Marissa Medin. She is a serial entrepreneur, a real estate professional, a clarity advisor, and career coach who helps individuals identify, pursue, and achieve careers and lifestyles that they truly love. Out of college, Marissa worked for Pepsi in brand marketing, moving up the ranks in New York and Los Angeles over 6 years with the company. As part of a team of 3, she managed the $1.5 billion Diet Pepsi brand. Marissa also managed all music events and music partnerships and worked directly with celebrities such as Sofia Vergara, Beyonce, and Snoop Dogg, and attended red carpet events such as the Grammys, the Golden Globes, and the Clio Awards. In 2016, Marissa left her corporate job and started an e-commerce business selling desserts. Less than 2 years later, she launched her second business called Talk College to Me, where she built an online course that helps families in the U.S. navigate the college admissions process. That course now generates her enough passive income to cover her lifestyle expenses. Marissa is also a certified life coach, and in her third business, she works with clients from around the world as a clarity advisor and career coach. Marissa donates 10% of all her profits from all of her businesses to Pencils for Promise, which works on poverty reduction through education and builds schools and supports teachers in low-income areas around Guatemala, Ghana, and Laos. And Marissa is a full-time digital nomad who runs all of her businesses remotely while traveling the world and has now been to over 45 countries. Marissa, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Matt. So excited to be here today.
So excited to have you here. We need to set the scene just to begin with. You and I are in Lisbon, Portugal. And Lisboa. And we have just opened a beautiful bottle of Portuguese red wine, which we are going to be drinking throughout the episode. And I understand this is your first time in Lisbon.
It is, and it is exceeding my expectations.
I love that. What has been your experience so far? How has Lisbon been for you?
It's been a blast. So you and I just got off of the Nomad Cruise. So it is full of really wonderful people that we've met over the past week. So for me, that always makes things more exciting. But the city is a fun place to explore. There's winding streets that go everywhere. There's some really beautiful parks. We've listened to some really interesting fado music you exposed me to, some great food, and pretty views. I like the waters.
Yeah, definitely one of my favorite cities in all of Western Europe for sure. And before we came here, we also got to hang out in some other cool countries. We're in the Canary Islands for a while together, and we spent a day in Casablanca, Morocco, which I understand was your first time in Morocco as well.
It was. We had some fun adventures there, got some fun street food, went to a mosque, all exceeding my expectations here. So we've had some fun adventures very quickly.
We have indeed. Yeah, the Hassan II Mosque in Casablanca is one of my favorites in the world. It's a relatively new mosque. It was built, I think, in the early 90s. And it is just, I believe it's now the largest mosque on the continent of Africa. Certainly the top 2 or 3. I think it is the largest, though. But it is just an amazing piece of architecture, and it's right on the beach.
My favorite part. I love the water.
Yeah, it's really
beautiful.
spectacular. You just go there and it's just mesmerizing. You just want to like look at it in awe and just spend time there, and you just don't want to leave.
It is true. I love the beach, and all of the design of it was incredible. So it was a fun day.
Yeah, super awesome. And you and I were just talking that before I came to Europe last month, I was out at the South by Southwest conference in Austin, Texas. And I got to speak on a super cool panel on remote entrepreneurship. It was an amazing honor to do that. Met some awesome people. And it was my first time at South by, and I was just totally blown away by everything about the conference, the people that I met, the events that were there. It was just, cinema and music and art and entrepreneurship and everything all together. And it was just blew me away. But you have been to that conference before. What was your experience like?
I have. I've been many times. I used to go every year in my old job, my old years we'll talk about. I used to work for Pepsi in marketing. And so I used to go to see the latest digital trends, music trends, all of that. But it's an awesome experience. I mean, all of the people who are there, it's really, aside from the awesome conferences and panels, just the events going on the outside, the networking, the people who are there, and have had some fun stories there as well.
I want to hear some of them. For me, it was just one thing after another, and I just kept having experiences that I didn't even expect. I would go to I went to this sort of hip hop DJ event, which was one of these after parties, and it was this whole DJ lineup. But then in the middle of the DJ show, major 90s hip hop artists would just appear on stage unannounced.
Out of nowhere.
So Redman comes up on stage and just does a 45-minute performance completely unannounced. I'm 3 feet away. So it was just surprise after surprise and one thing after another. And it was just the whole thing just left my head spinning. But what was your
Yes, I can relate
like?
to the surprises as well. You never know who's going to be. So I came from the brand partnership side. So we had some of those surprise artists. That's what we brought from Pepsi. But one of my favorite moments there, I was just walking down 6th Street in Austin. For anyone who's been, crazy street, it's busy, it starts pouring. We walk into a side bar on the side of the road just to get out of the rain, and Ashton Kutcher and Mark Cuban walk in after us. So that was quite a surprise. So hung out, there was probably 10 people in the bar in total, and we ended up leaving about 30 minutes later. Walking down the street, I have to say I'd had a little bit of alcohol, to be fair, at 1 a.m. And Mark Cuban was kind of dancing down the street, and drunk me decided I should challenge him to a salsa dancing contest, which was a great idea. I knew who he was at the time, but I didn't realize he'd been on Dancing with the Stars. So I don't think I won that contest, but I did salsa dance with Mark Cuban in the street in Austin, Texas at 1 a.m. So that was a fun one.
That's an amazing story. That's so
special times in Austin.
That's so epic. Yeah, you never know. It is truly amazing who you might run into or just see meandering around at South by Southwest. It is
absolutely
incredible. So
great people.
That's awesome. But let's talk more about your experiences with Pepsi.
Absolutely.
You were there for 6 years, and over the course of that, I'm sure had a lot of different experiences. Can you talk a little bit about the types of work that you were doing there, the types of events that you were involved with, and the people that you were working with?
Yeah, honestly, Pepsi was a fabulous experience. I worked in brand marketing there, and I can honestly say I worked among some of the top marketers in the entire world, and just incredible people who are still, I call my best friends. I still keep in touch with so many of them. And what I loved about my time there is you kind of rotate between different roles every year, a year or two. So I worked looking at global innovation trends when I first started. I worked on the Diet Pepsi brand, as you mentioned. There was only 3 of us managing a $1.5 billion brand. And I was young. And the fact that I got to do this at the time was incredible. Sofia Vergara was the face of Diet Pepsi when I was working on that brand, and just working on different TV campaigns and advertising and different radio and writing the scripts for it, and just learning how everything worked into how do you get your product into store? How do you learn about the consumer? How do you understand when they're drinking and where they're buying it? And just really, really incredible experience. And then my last 2 years worked on our music team out in LA, which was a blast. So anything that touched our music business, the Super Bowl halftime show, I was going to the Grammys, meeting with people from labels, going to these really small concerts with Pharrell and 15 other people to see what his latest song was, just because they wanted to do brand partnerships potentially. So the things that I did, I look back and it was like, that was incredible. How did I get to do that? And it was just, it learned a lot and it was a ton of fun.
That's awesome. I mean, so let's start a little bit just at the beginning of your Pepsi experience, when you were kind of coming in to Pepsi, for the first time, and you were involved with some of the influencer marketing strategies that they were doing at the time, right? What were those like and what was going on there?
Yeah, absolutely. So I had a chance. I was actually between my junior and senior year of college. I was an intern at Pepsi. It was really, really fun. So a lot of my peers were just doing random paperwork and stuff. I was helping we called them Sobe Summer Fridays. So I was working on the Sobe brand team, which is a Pepsi product. And at the time, this was pre-Instagram influencer, but we would throw these incredible parties in these Tribeca studios in New York every Friday in the summer that I worked there, and had artists come and perform like Robin Thicke, Asher Roth. There was all sorts of athletes, and we would basically just invite all sorts of bloggers, influencers, anybody to come and write about their experiences to share the brand. And like, that was my part of my job during the summer as an intern. It was incredible.
That's amazing. And then as you moved into the music department, right?
Yeah.
You started managing the music events and the relationships with musicians. What was that like? And who were some of the people that you worked directly with? And what were some of those experiences like?
Yeah, that was a blast. The music world is a whole different ballgame to learn. So I think one of the incredible things working at Pepsi is the things that you may not have otherwise ever come across. So I probably never would have had music experience, but I learned everything from how licensing worked, who you have to get permission to post songs and commercials, how to write out hundreds of $1,000s of contracts to have a live performance. I was doing music videos. So we recorded a music video with Snoop Dogg was in part of it. We did the Super Bowl halftime show with Beyonce, had events with people like Dierks Bentley, did a whole brand partnership with Florida Georgia Line for any country fans out there. But it was an incredible experience just to learn who, these artists are brands in and of themselves. So to learn what they stand for and how they can help our brands explain, as a soda, as a product, as a beverage, you use an artist to show what you stand for, which is really cool.
That's awesome. So what was it like on the Snoop Dogg shoot? What was the scenario there where you were working with him?
Yeah, that was a fun one. So the Snoop video, it was actually a video we did with Prince Royce, who was a Pepsi artist. And Snoop happened to be doing a song with him. So I went out. We were in LA in the Valley at about 10 p.m. is when Snoop was supposed to come. I think we started around 1 a.m. with his scenes. He came and did a couple, was supposed to do a few more, decided to just do what he wanted and head out. But I mean, he is a cool guy. I feel like he just got swag, right? He comes in and just kind of does what he wants, has a feel of what he wants. He just like flowing and leaves. He's the man.
Snoop will be Snoop.
Snoop will be Snoop.
That's amazing.
It was fun.
That's awesome. So
I think I was there till 5 a.m. Thanks to Snoop.
That's amazing. So over the course of your work at Pepsi and all of these different experiences, can you distill down some of the business lessons that you learned that you were then able to extrapolate when you later went into your entrepreneurial trajectory, and maybe in general that business owners could learn from as well? Because Pepsi obviously is one of the most successful brands in the world.
Yeah.
And so you were inside that right at the helm. So can you share any business lessons and maybe distill some down that you took away from that experience in your 6 years?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I like to say about my time at Pepsi and brand marketers at these huge product companies in general is you're really good and knowledgeable at a lot of things, but you're not great at any one thing. So I like to think about it as like this like a hub and spokes like of a wheel coming out. So as a brand marketer, you're kind of the center of everything. And it's your job to make sure that all of your cross-functional teams are digging in and overseeing and talking to everything. So as a brand manager, I would work with our sales team, with our PR team, with our digital agencies, everyone doing print, radio, in-store pricing, our packaging engineers, packaging design, the look and feel of the whole brand, and our research teams who are looking at how often people are consuming products. And as someone who's on the brand, it's your job to really dig into the analytics and understand where in the country are people consuming your product, where are they buying it, where is it falling short, what is changing. So I think for me, as I went out and started my next business, it was fascinating because I really know all the things I needed to know, but I didn't really know in detail how to actually execute everything myself, which was, we'll get to that about how I actually learned the next businesses. But what I really learned was how to build a brand at Pepsi, what it stands for, how to have a look and feel, how to know who you're talking to, and really just know your consumer in and out, understand how they're purchasing it and how you come across as a brand, what your approach is, what your style is.
Can you share some specific pieces of advice on how to go about doing that, how to build a brand for businesses of any size, including small businesses? So what are the principles or tips or pieces of advice that companies can put into action?
Yeah, one of my favorite ones is that when you talk to everyone, you talk to no one. And so I think that, myself included, when you go out into entrepreneurship or you're building a business, is you think that if you could just kind of have a product that serves everyone, you have more chance of making money, right? There's just more people out there who are likely to buy your product. And even if you think about the brand, a Pepsi brand, where truly so many different types of people throughout the world are drinking it, as a brand manager, it's still your job to pick a target and decide who they are and just talk to that one person. So I think the lesson that I took away was, for any brand you're building, whether it's a soda, whether it's real estate, whether it's a life coach, whoever you are, is figure out your target consumer and pretend like they're literally a person. What is their name? Who are they? What do they do when they wake up? What do they drink in the morning? Who are they calling throughout the day? Who are their friends? What kind of families do they have? What kind of car do they drive? Where do they shop? What are they wearing? Do they play video games? How are they entertaining? What magazines are they reading? The more detail you can write about who that person is, the clearer you can be within your marketing, and everything you do serves that person, and people are going to connect with that. And you end up connecting with people who are more than that, but at least you have this consistent personality, whether you're a person, a business, a brand, a product, it doesn't matter. You got to pick that person, know them in and out, and that way you can pick your marketing strategies based on that.
That's awesome. So after 6 years at Pepsi and having all of these unbelievable experiences and getting access to red carpet award shows and hanging out with celebrities and learning from the best of the best in the marketing world, why did you choose to leave Pepsi? What was the sort of transition there that happened?
It's a wonderful question because it confused many people, right? I think everyone on the outside is looking in, Marissa's just hanging out with all of these incredible artists and going to these really intimate shows and literally attending in the Grammys, the Golden Globes, walking the red carpet, just hanging with celebrities. And this really was my life. But even though it was an incredible experience, it wasn't what I wanted to be doing. And I think that's so important for many people. When I was out of college, I felt like I wanted to do these, work with prestigious brands and do things that I thought were cool and that other people thought was cool. And at the end of the day, as I was with my peers at Pepsi who were obsessed with the latest apps and the latest marketing trends and reading all about it, it wasn't what I loved. That wasn't what I wanted to be doing in my spare time. And as for Pepsi as a product, I don't really drink caffeine. I don't drink much soda. So while it was an incredible company, incredible people, it wasn't what resonated with me personally. I wanted to try entrepreneurship. I didn't want to have a boss. I wanted to kind of just do my own thing and live a different life. So I wanted to travel, and I'd read the 4-Hour Work Week and I was like, I got to do that. So that was kind of the start of it. But I think what's really important is that even though I knew that, I had no idea what to do next. I sat there and I was like, I know this isn't right, but I don't know what else to do. It's easy. I'm good at this. The company knows me. They trust me. I'm working remotely in LA. It was easy. It was really easy. And so the decision to leave, even though I wanted to, kind of happened because I was living in LA. I was in a relationship. I was engaged and I decided not to get married. And I didn't have a life in LA. I left. I knew it wasn't right. And it was just one of those moments that kind of made me rethink everything I was doing. And it was in that moment I just said, this isn't right. I got to do something new. And so that's where the next business came into play.
So let's talk a little bit about that transition for you. And once you made that choice to do a major life pivot.
Everything changed.
Everything changed. I mean,
everything.
I can relate to that as well.
Absolutely
because
everything.
As
You've done it too.
As you know, all my academic career and my entire work background up to the age of 30 completely changed and pivoted. I got fired from my job and I entirely reinvented, everything and went into the entrepreneurial direction, the location independent direction and everything else, right? Became a digital nomad later on and all that. So I can relate to that. But can you talk specifically though about that pivot and what that was like and what your next move was there as you entered the entrepreneurial path?
Absolutely. So as I look back, it was honestly probably the hardest time in my life for many reasons, right? As we just said, I was starting over I think, if I was still in a relationship or I was still living in the same place and was just starting, that would be one thing. But like you, it's just, I restarted everything and I don't regret it, but it was hard as hell. As I did, I started this e-commerce dessert business, and I actually started because I got a offer for a promotion at Pepsi to start a new team, and I had to be in either New York or LA, and I didn't want to be in either anymore. And I was actually home over the holidays at this time when this offer came, and I was out walking with my mom, and she had owned these 4 bakeries in Atlanta where I grew up that she had closed about 20 years ago. But as we were walking, she said, this stranger tracked me down on Facebook. She sent me a message asking me to bake these brownies for her for the holidays. And I was like, well, are you going to do it? And she said, no. She's like, I'm not baking anymore. I don't want to do that. And it was just like, this happened time and time again with her, these people asking for her products. And so my business mind is like churning and I'm like, okay, business background, like there's an opportunity, there's a demand. There's this, as I just talked about, building a story. It was this like really wonderful family brand, the story. I didn't even know how to bake her products, but I was like, I'll do it. Why not? I'm serious. I don't want to take this new job. I think I want to be back in Atlanta. Why not? So that was how it happened. And I was like, do you think this is a good idea, Mom? And she was like, I don't, she probably didn't, but let me do it. And so that's kind of how it started. And so I decided to it was her brand, her business. Again, right? It's that brand story that I've been talking about. Now it's the second generation. People love a good family story. So I brought just one product of hers back. And I was trying to live the Tim Ferriss digital nomad dream. So I didn't open bakeries like she had. I decided I was just going to bake them wherever. I was going to figure it out, ship them all online. So I didn't need a store. I was going to outsource the baking as soon as I could and just run this business from my laptop. And so that's kind of how this business came about.
That's awesome. And it's really interesting what you're saying about the family sort of lineage there. And I know also was it around the same time that you also decided to get your real estate license? And can you talk about the family lineage of that?
Yes, the double side. Great question. So my mother did the bakery side. She was an entrepreneur. My father is also an entrepreneur. So he does commercial real estate. And so as I was quitting my job, this is terrifying. I'm losing this solid income that I've grown to know. Starting this dessert business, which I have no knowledge of doing, I decided as a backup to get my real estate license at the same time. So it took me about 6 months from the day I decided to start this dessert business to launch. And during that time, I was waiting for graphic designs to come back. I was waiting for packaging samples, figuring out all sorts of things. So I had some free time and got my real estate license as well at this time. So several reasons for that. One, it was a little bit of a backup. So I decided I'll go south. If I can't make any money selling these brownies over the internet, then I have an interest. I have family background in real estate. So I figured if all else fails, I'll fall back on that. I found interest in residential real estate specifically. So that was a goal. And then just to have it as part of my family to know, I thought it was just kind of useful. And then turned out it was some good, surprising passive income. I didn't realize you could just send friends to other real estate agents who, if they buy with someone else, just to be a connector, I got a commission. So I've made thousands of dollars doing that, which was like a side bonus. And now I've been introduced to Matt and we'll send many more people his way for some residential real estate investing. Exciting for that.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, our conversation about that was so cool because you were telling me about how you had just realized that with a real estate license, you can actually just refer people to other agents that do all the work. And then as long
Exactly.
as you made the introduction, you're going to get paid something. And I explained to you that Maverick Investor Group, which is a licensed real estate brokerage, right? That the only way someone can get paid for referring a client to us who buys real estate is if they have a real estate license. So people ask us all the time, and we're like, no, sorry, it's a heavily regulated industry.
Yeah, very regulated.
It's unequivocally not legal to pay out referral fees or commissions or things like that to people that don't have a real estate license. But if you are an active real estate agent with a license hung with a broker, then absolutely you can refer your clients, friends, family to Maverick. And if they buy real estate through us, we absolutely have an affiliate network. We call it the Maverick Referral Network for real estate agents all around the United States. And so I told you about this, and you're like,
I was like, great,
like, where have you
been all my life?
Exactly.
But I think it's incredible what you're doing. And it's an interesting, as you and I are both digital nomads, to think, real estate is typically an area where you have to be there and be showing places. And that's, all I knew. So for me, I was surprised where, again, I could be in Spain and send my friend, who lives in Michigan to a random real estate agent who then sends me thousands of dollars for a percentage of their properties for selling or for buying, and then learning what you do. I was like, oh my gosh, well, as people are starting, I have friends, family who are interested in investing and income properties and things like that. I think the thing that holds everyone back, they have no idea what to buy or where to buy it. And you make that so easy. So I was, oh my gosh, like all the bells are going off the night we met. I was like, this is exciting. Like I'm gonna send people your way.
Absolutely. And it was also really cool because on the Nomad Cruise, I did a meetup on how to buy turnkey real estate investment properties in the best U.S. real estate markets from anywhere in the world without having to be there. And we probably had, 30 plus people turn out at the meetup from countries all around the world that were like, wait a minute, you're telling me I can buy real estate in the United States.
Right.
I don't have to be there.
Nope.
I don't have to live near it. I don't have to manage deal with the tenant and be
That's
the landlord.
big.
But I actually own the deeded property. It's not a REIT. It's not a, syndicated thing or anything. I actually own the house. I get all the benefits of owning the real estate, but I don't have to be there and manage it or even come to the United States. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So
Sign me up.
so it's, so as more and more people understand the model, whether they're agents like you who have potential clients or they're real estate investor buyers that just simply value their time and they don't want to do all the legwork of figuring out how to do everything.
Because it's a lot of work otherwise, and it is
Yeah.
complicated, and you take that out of it. So
Exactly. Yeah. So people have been super excited about the model, and it's been really fun to meet all of these, nomads who either want to, buy rental properties or, refer people to buy rental properties. So that's been a fun way to meet and hang out with people. A lot of real estate investors in this crowd for sure.
yeah.
Awesome. So let's talk a little bit about then from the bakery, then how did you transition into your next business? What was the thought process and sort of the transition there? And what was your next business exactly?
Yeah. So you'll see a common theme with me is kind of just taking next steps as you learn them. So as I said, Pepsi wasn't right for me. This was, the dessert business was the next best thing at the time that made sense. And then I got into the dessert business and I was like, you know what? I actually don't really like baking very much. I actually really hate baking. And so it's probably not the right business for me. And I became a vegan at the time, so I couldn't even eat the products that I was eating. And so again, it was like making money and it was really fun. I loved connecting with customers and learning how this nostalgic brand of all their experiences, how they loved getting in touch with it again. But I was like, this isn't quite right. This isn't the end, but I didn't know what was next. And so I was on Facebook one day, scrolling through, I became obsessed with learning everything entrepreneurial I could. I was just binging podcasts of any entrepreneurial tips, reading books, like following people online, anything I could do. And I came across this Facebook ad, and the ad was about how to grow your email list. So I will say for any entrepreneur, whatever business you're running, the email list is the most important thing to grow your business. And so I clicked on this ad. I was like, well, yeah, I do need to grow my email list. Teach me how. And it turned out the webinar I ended up watching was all about online courses. And this really blew my mind because I learned that you could build a whole business around packaging together information that you knew. So I didn't have to bake products. I didn't have to bake brownies. I didn't have to be anywhere. I could just sell my information. And this really blew my mind that people were making such a fortune doing this. So in this webinar, again, when it's teaching you how to build online courses, it started asking questions of, if you don't have an online business, if you don't have an online course, what do you want to do? And it asks like, what are you good at? What do you like to teach people? What do people ask you for help with? And it was answering all these questions. And long story short, realized I had a really strong love for college campuses and helping college students, helping high school students get to the right colleges. And so I built my business that was called Talk College to Me, still exists, still funds my lifestyle. And it was an online course that taught families how to navigate college admissions. And again, it kind of took my love of exploring college campuses and helping people. I just really loved helping students, helping families, and then finding the niche of a target audience that would pay. So I realized that families were paying individual college consultants up to $10,000 to help them navigate this, how to write essays and how to, figure out what standardized tests to take and what scores you need in choosing colleges. And so there was really hardly anyone in the space creating online courses for this. So I just spent so much time studying it, learning everything I needed to know to teach families how to figure this out through an online course, through my information without paying tens of thousands of dollars. So that's kind of how that next business came about.
I love that. And can you talk about, I want to kind of break down tactically what you did and what you learned and what the process of building that was like, because it is really, 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 really hard to build any business that is going to actually be successful, let alone one that you are able to build and automate that can actually consistently produce enough revenue to finance your lifestyle expenses. I mean, that is an incredible achievement that you have done. And I don't for 2 seconds want to just gloss over it or suggest that, that's something that's, not too difficult to do. That's really hard to do. And
it was hard.
Yeah. And so,
we'll
but I want you to, if you can, just to open up about that and talk about how hard it was, what you had to do to do it, and then let's talk about the specific tactical pieces that you had to put in place to actually succeed with that.
Yeah. So important that you say that. And I want to start to your point of what the experience was actually like, because when I went into this, I don't regret anything. I have a lot of blissful ignorance when I start new companies often, because you see people online and on Instagram and on Facebook and in these advertisements just saying, it's been 1 month and I made $1 million in my first webinar and $100,000 per month doing this. And it's like, great, again, sign me up. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to do that. And what they don't tell you is, the months and months or years of things that they've tried and failed or spent time learning in order to, I don't think they're lying. Maybe they do, the first webinar they launched for some business was $60,000, sure, but they don't tell you about the 30 times that they tried and failed and all the things they did. So I like to be really transparent about my own experience doing it, because again, these were truly, nothing I regret, but the hardest years of my life for sure. And so worth it in the end. But while I was running this dessert business, I decided I wanted to open this college business. And so I overlapped them. I was bringing in money selling brownies and didn't want to let that go until I was running a side hustle from my business. And I probably spent 1.5 years from the time I learned about an online course to the time that I was launching it and actually bringing in revenue on a consistent basis. And during this time, I was back in Atlanta. I was traveling here and there, for a week or two. And my end goal was to, be the digital nomad, set this, passive income up to explore the world while I was running this. But in the meantime, it took a solid 18 months I was probably working 16-hour days, taking care of the one business and just learning, like binge listening to truly every podcast episode that could teach me about it. I bought probably 4 or 5 online courses about how to build online courses, how to run a webinar, how to build an email list. And I was signing up for the things that were targeted to me. I was signing up for every single webinar that I saw an ad for online just to understand. I would watch their webinars, study the process. I would study the emails that they were sending to me when I signed up. What was the welcome email? What were the emails they sent week after week to then guide me and to learn to trust them and then to encourage me to watch a webinar, to build a sale. And as I was actually building out my online course, everything that I did in that 18 months, I could probably do in 1 month now, right? Having done it, but I had never recorded anything. So I was like, where do I host this? Let me research all the different options. What kind of microphone do I need to record this? Let me research the options, right? How do I record my screen? What kind of PowerPoints do I need to build? Do I need to have my face in the videos? Like, how do I link these webinars to my email funnel from the Facebook ads? It's a very complicated process. So I want to say that it is absolutely possible. I think it's an incredible business model, but there's a big learning curve to start. And I just want to say to anyone listening who might be interested, I don't say that to stop you, but to say, you know, like go in with eyes wide open, that it takes time and hustle. And truly, like my family members and friends were like, Marissa, you haven't left your apartment in like 3 weeks. Like, we're worried about you. You should go hang out with people. You need to see your friends. You're a social person. But I was just like, I have this goal. I want to leave in September to go travel the world and I want to get this done. And so for me, it was like, I don't care what else is going on. I'm going to study and learn and figure it out. Right. But it was hard. It was really hard.
Yeah. And I love that. And you share that because I think it's super, super important.
Yeah.
I mean, building Maverick Investor Group was amazing, but it was also grueling and arduous and an incredible slog and very difficult at times. And, you know, all that and the amount of hours that you have to put in learning and then executing and then learning and then executing is just enormous. I mean, people that have successful businesses, it is not something that's easy and simple. And so I think it's really, really important that you're able to share what that was like at the time, but also that you had the motivation and you had the incentive and you were creating incentives for yourself. You wanted to travel the world and be a full-time digital nomad, and you needed to create this stream of income that was going to allow you to do it and finance your lifestyle and finance your world travel. And you did that and you achieved that. And you're now traveling the world full time and having epic adventures and all that kind of stuff. And you hustled and you grinded and you got it done. So let's talk a little bit about the specific tactical and granular on some of this stuff in terms of all of that studying that you did when you were binging on listening to podcasts and reading books and studying courses and 16 hours a day and studying everything you could learn about all the different pieces that you needed to put into place. If you can sort of distill down now best practices that you've learned from all of that research in some of the key areas, right? So the actual, let's say, maybe we start with product development in terms of how to actually build an online course that people want to watch and pay for.
Yeah.
And then how to market it and find your customers.
Right.
And then how to sell it.
Yep.
And create a funnel and a funnel and a nurturing sequence and actually create a webinar that converts and sells and closes people and convinces them to give you money.
Yes.
Can you sort of maybe one at a time, you know, we can take those pieces and provide as much of the tactical advice about the best practices that you've come to find actually work after trying so many different things?
Yes, I love that you've broken it into it because as I was exploring, it just seemed like, build an online course and you got it figured out, right? But there's all these different parts that create the passive income. So as I was learning and studying, it was like, okay, I'm going to build my online course. That's it. And I was like, all right, now I got this course. How do I sell it? How do I bring people in? How do I nurture them? How do I sell? And each step I took, I was like, you know, I think I'm done. It's like you get to like the top of a peak when you're hiking and then you're like, you think you're at the top and then you get there and you're like, oh God, there's like 5 more peaks, right? So that's kind of how it felt. So keep me in line with what you want to know. So we'll start, I think you said, with like, what do you actually put in an online course? So let's start there. A lot of people are like, okay, I've got this thing I want to teach or this information I want to share, but what do I actually put inside of these modules? So a really tactical exercise that I love is as you think about it, most likely you are creating a course that's going to help a past version of yourself. So usually the information that you're sharing or whatever you're teaching, whether you are teaching things as a life coach, whether you're teaching how to fly a drone, whether you're teaching how to paint watercolors, whatever it might be, you were once in a position where you didn't know how to do that. So as you're thinking about the modules, what you want to write down is think about yourself, where you were when you didn't know how to do these things, and write out bullet points that talks about the pain points, what you were struggling with, what you found hard. Just list out everything you can think of. And then underneath each of those bullet points, you do 3 or, however many sub bullet points that talks about what you had to learn or what you had to overcome in order to get past that hurdle. And that's what you want to teach people. That's each of the modules. The big bullet points are each of the modules. And then each of the videos within those are how to overcome those things that you had to do. And it's easy, right? That's what your course is.
And so when you finished, your entire course and you've created it and you've recorded the video modules.
I think you're done. You're not.
Now you've got to sell it, right?
Yeah.
And so what was your approach to marketing and sales for the course? And if you can just break it down kind of piece by piece and what the best practices were to actually market, sell, convert, and
market, sell, convert, just all the easy things, right?
All the easy things.
Just those little things.
You spent a year and a half figuring out how to do. Can you summarize for us?
I can.
What works? What'd you find out?
Absolutely. So what works in terms of sales, and this is something I learned in Pepsi, I'm going to try to give you a bunch of tactical lessons. People buy from someone that they know, like, and trust. And I think that's something I learned at Pepsi. That's something that's important for any business. So one way to do that is through your email. So email is king, no matter what anyone says. If you are building an audience on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, through a podcast, whatever it is, you do not own those audiences. And this is so important. The algorithm can change. Something can shut down, it goes off. You want to have a whole email list. Like, that is the number one way of anybody who's coming into your world, bring them into an email list. And then you want to nurture them. So you want to basically use your email list to send, and this can all be automated, which I had no idea before, which is fantastic. Someone signs up for a freebie, right? 5 ways to do this, 3 simple steps to do that. Bring them into your world, offer them value, show that you can help them, and then show who you are as a human. I think this is something that a lot of people forget that I think is the most important, that people want to buy from someone they like, right? So for me, as I set up my college business, I saw that there was this whole trend of people who were just very scholarly and uptight, and it was not a fun way to learn. So I came into the space as like, hi, I'm Marissa. I'm a human. I can help you learn this in a fun and easy way. Here's who I am. Here's where I'm traveling to. And here are some tips that can actually help you. So to create a nurture sequence, a welcome sequence that gets people to figure out who you are and what you can offer them and how you can help them. And then you're kind of offering them what they need to know, but not how. These are the things you need to know about college. Did you know you need to write these essays? Did you know you need to sign up for these test dates? But in order to really dig into it, they're going to need to sign up for my course to learn step by step how to write these essays, step by step, how to know which test to take, when to take them, all of that. So that's kind of the next piece of it.
Can you talk a little bit about how you identified the target market for your product and how you got your message in front of that target market?
Yes, great question. I think this one part is easy, one part is really hard. So in terms of figuring out who it was, I spent so much time in Facebook groups. So this is something I would highly recommend as a tip for anyone thinking about starting a business, or if you already run a business. There are Facebook groups filled with thousands and thousands of people who will talk about and share about their experiences about anything. So I am not a parent. I do not have a kid going through this process. So I would go into Facebook groups of these parents asking about college admissions, or parents just asking about questions in general of what they're struggling with. And I would go in and just say, hey, what's your biggest concern about the college admissions process? Like, as a fellow parent, I would pretend like I was a parent, just, to relate to these people. And it's like, you'd get 85 comments of people are like, this is my exact fear. This is exactly what I'm struggling with. This is exactly what I want help with. And it's like, okay, thank you. I would take literally the language that they use, and then you serve it back to them. And they're like, Marissa understands what I'm going through, right? So that's one example for my college, but you can do that with any business you are going through. Find those people. It's like free focus groups. Like at Pepsi, we would pay people hundreds, we'd spend thousands of dollars to find the right people, and they're just for free in Facebook groups. So take advantage of that. In terms of how to then get them into your own business, this is a little harder. So there's several different ways. You think about the top of the sales funnel, and I think you have to find the way that resonates best with your personality. So you can do this through Facebook ads. You can do this through podcast episodes. You can do this through posting on Instagram. My personal favorite way that I've learned is through partnerships. So I find people who have similar audiences who sell different products. So with my college business, for example, I don't actually tutor people how to take in the US, they're called SATs or ACTs, these standardized tests you have to take to get into college. And so, for example, I would reach out to someone who does help tutoring for standardized tests, and we'd trade email lists by offering value to the other one. So basically building your own email list by finding people who have the audiences you want to go after, but sell a different product.
That's awesome. I love the tip about the free focus groups.
Free focus groups. They're out there and they will tell you anything.
That's amazing.
Willingly.
That's really a smart sort of guerrilla marketing, if you will, tactic for how to get exactly the information you want from your target market.
And use their language really precisely, like spit it right back at them.
That's amazing. That's really, really smart. So, and I also like the concept of leveraging other people's audiences, other people that have already built an audience and a client base of the people that you want to sell to.
Yes.
And then creating a relationship with them. And it could be an affiliate type relationship, or it could be just be an exchange that you'll introduce their stuff to your crowd and they'll introduce your stuff to their crowd. And it's just a business relationship exchange or any number of other things. But that's a great way to get in front of a large number of people that are interested in what you have to sell. And you're doing it through a warm introduction.
Exactly. That's so important. When someone introduces you, they have an audience who knows, likes, and trusts them. And so when they say, hey, my friend Marissa has this product or this tip, you should follow her, then they're coming in. When you do Facebook ads, it's a cold lead. So it takes way longer, weeks or months to nurture them for them to get to know you. Whereas when someone comes in through a trusted partnership, they already come in feeling trust, they trust you already. And so they're willing to buy more quickly.
Absolutely. So let's now talk about the sales conversion process.
Yes.
So you've built a fantastic product that really adds a legitimate value.
Yeah, that's number one. You got to have a product that really adds value. We haven't talked about that, but so important.
Well, you talked about how you built your product and put a lot of effort into it and all of that. And so assuming that you build a product that really adds legitimate value that can really, really help people and deliver the value that you say it does, then you need to find who you're going to sell to and the language to use to sell to them, which is where the free focus groups comes in.
Yep.
Then you need to find how to get your message in front of those audiences, which is where the business partnerships come in, right? So now we're there.
Right.
You get your message in front of them, and then you give them a free sort of gateway offer to come in and learn about you and ostensibly meet you through a free piece of your content where you're going to be friendly and personable and cool and be yourself and also deliver substantive value and position yourself as an authority. So they know, like, and trust you now in addition to the person that referred them. Once that happens, now can you talk about the actual sales process? How do you nurture the lead? How do you move them through the sales funnel? And what are the most effective strategies for actually converting those leads into a paid sale?
Yeah. So I love this. And I think there's a lot of pieces to this that, I don't want to simplify of just say, go out, build an online course. It's like, you've done this, then you've done this, and you've done this. And there's a lot of different steps. Again, once it's all set up, it truly is an easy flowing passive income, but it takes a big learning curve. So after I got to this point, the way I typically do it is through webinars or different Facebook Live videos, things like that. And I studied this process. Russell Brunson, I think, does an incredible job teaching about webinars and step-by-step instructions, but there truly is a craft, an art, and a science to the sale. So I set up webinars. I took an online course about how to structure, how the flow goes. And it's hard to convey just on this, but the lesson I want you to take away is really study this process. There is an art to say, here's valuable information. So anyone who comes to you, you want to start by really actually offering them value. And you want to give them so much value that it makes you uncomfortable that you're like, I should be charging this. I'm giving away a lot of secrets, but it's just the top line. So again, you're giving away that what, leading them to say, okay, I know what I need to know, but now I need to buy, Marissa's course or whatever it is to learn step-by-step how to do it. And there's a whole process to get into the sale. So you offer value, you offer value, you offer value. And then you say, hey, you've come all this way. You're interested. I want to take you the next step. If you want to learn more with me, if you like what you've seen so far, if you trust me, I have more to give, right? And that's where the sale comes in. And you really have to be comfortable with your price point. You have to learn how to offer the sale in an easy way that makes them feel good and makes them feel like you're offering them so much value that it's impossible to say no.
So can you distill down some of the techniques or the best practices you've found for structuring webinars in a way that optimizes conversion?
Yes. So before I go into it, I just want to say, buy the book Expert Secrets by Russell Brunson, because he will do far better justice, which from what I can explain just in this brief time as part of our podcast episode. But if you are truly interested in building a converting webinar, buy the book and thank me later. But in theory, you want to spend the most amount of time in the middle of your webinar saying, here's basically think about the hurdles that they would need to overcome and share some really actionable value tips of some things that they need to know and why they would want to buy your course. So that's the start. If I were to take your business, for example, and you were saying, come buy real estate with me, the first thing I would want to overcome is, like, what about the market's doing crazy things? There's these external factors that I can't control. So like, let me talk about that in my webinar. There's the internal factors that say, who am I to buy real estate? I don't know anything. I travel. I'm across the world. I don't know how to invest, whatever it is. Like, let me help you tell you why I can do that. Just actually giving them value, whether they buy from you or not. And then at the end, you want to basically have said, again, I've said this several times, but here's the what. Here's the things that you need to know. And if you want to take it a step further with me, I'm going to teach you how to actually do it all. So that's kind of the flow of it in general. But there's some really special, I've read as I talked, like when I go into something, I binge how to do it, what to go in. And so there's some other sales tactics to get people to say yes to you along the way. As simple as asking, as you're saying, hey, there's these external factors in the real estate industry, but here's why it's not important. Do you understand? Like, yes. Here's these reasons why you can do it. Do you see how powerful this is? Like, you're asking questions, you're bringing them along with you. And it's these simple mental factors of getting them to say yes, making these micro commitments along the way that will end up helping them to convert. So that's one piece of it. The second piece, as you get to the end of how to actually convert. So what you want to do is, again, truly know you have a product that is killer, that's really going to help them. Set it at a price point, give scarcity that it only lasts for a certain time while they're live. Because the truth is, you really can help people. But if you lose them after the sale, they're going to go back to their families, their jobs, they're traveling, they're making dinner, they're busy. And even if they wanted to buy it, they might forget. So you really want to give them incentive to buy it with you in that moment, whether that's a price discount, whether that's a special bonus, a special call with you, a special resource, whatever it is that only lasts for an hour within that time that you are interacting with them. And then again, just to stack on the value. So it should be a no-brainer. Like, if you're selling a course, I offer, bonus after bonus or the resources of things that anchoring the price point, right? So for my college business, take for example, you're going to spend $10,000 doing this one-on-one work where you can get it for hundreds of dollars with me in this moment. You're going to all same information. It's going to change your world. Here's what you're going to get from it. And here's why you need to buy now. So again, that's kind of the overview, but go buy Expert Secrets if you're interested.
Awesome. Those are really good tips and recommendations. Okay, so after you built and basically automated this business to continue to generate revenue for you because you had lead flow, they were coming into your funnel, you had already recorded the webinar, you knew it was optimized and functioning,
right?
You were converting leads, there were sales, and you had made this into a passive business that was generating you enough money to finance your lifestyle, your world travel, all this kind of stuff. At that point, can you talk about your next move in terms of your next business venture and where you went from there and why?
Yeah, great question. So as I got this set up, finally got it to the term, when I'm working on finding new partnerships and finding, new sources of lead generation. That's where I spend the most of my time now, because the rest, after a year and a half, is automated. So after that happened, again, I had this goal where I was going to finally pack up, rent out my place at home, travel the world. And it kind of led me to my next clue of what I was passionate about. So I love helping families with college admissions, but as I started traveling the world, I came in contact with so many new, incredible people and built these relationships where I had been through so many transitions and just the way I interact with people in general. People would come and share these stories with me of their lives and be like, I've never told anyone, Marissa, like, I don't know why I'm telling you this, but I just feel the need to share. And they were asking for help. And I was helping them with, relationships and breakups and building businesses and building online courses and figuring out what careers they were interested in. And truly, I can't tell you, like Thailand, Vietnam, Myanmar, Cambodia, Philippines, like everywhere I went, people kept asking me if I was a life coach. And so I was like, there's something to this. Like, and I loved helping people. I think that's just where I truly, truly find my joy, is helping people live lives that are, they're finding jobs that they actually care about. There's this whole like, what's your purpose thing? And I think that's a really scary question, but people are really miserable in their jobs. And I just found that I loved helping people. So that was kind of my next clue of, I need to become a coach. I need to help people. This is what I truly feel is my calling. And so that's kind of what I've shifted into now.
So can you talk a little bit about that business and your clients? And I want to get into some of the value that you deliver in that business and some of the things that you've learned and that you've actually helped your clients with. So, maybe let's just start off with, who are your clients? What types of people are you working with, and what are you helping them with?
Absolutely. So, like I said, with any business, you're typically helping a past version of yourself. So for me, what I really, really love helping people with are people who are unhappy or not as happy as they could be within their current job or lifestyle, whether that is, again, the job that they're doing 9 to 5, or maybe a side hustle that they've started that's not quite right, but they don't know what is. Maybe they're in a relationship that they're unsure of, or, they want to become a nomad and travel the world and they're too scared to do it. My goal, my love, what I love to help people with is figuring out, how do you take those next steps to live the life that you love? And so those are the type of people who I most like to help.
Awesome. And can you talk a little bit about, in working with those people and getting to know them, what do you find really holds people back from achieving the life that they really are passionate about and that they really love? What are those primary obstacles that you've found?
Yeah. So when it comes down to it, and I've done a lot of one-on-one coaching at this point, I've done some group work, I've talked to tons of people, and what it comes down to at the very basic level is fear, right? Our minds, everything we're taught, our society, our family, our friends want to keep you safe. They want to keep you in this little bubble where, you go to your 9 to 5 job and someone pays you and you make money and you're just living to work and maybe traveling 2 weeks a year or something like that. And what I found that's holding everyone back is fear of taking a leap, right? You might not want to travel the world, but you might want to, maybe you've invested all this time becoming a lawyer, but you don't like it and you're too scared to try something new, to take a leap and, do what you actually love. It's this fear of doing what's not prestigious or what you don't know how to do or what you've never done before. And that's what I love to help people overcome and find safe next steps to actionably take to, one, figure out, maybe you don't know what you actually want to do. How do you figure that out? What questions do you ask to figure, to take those next steps? And then two, once you figured that out, or maybe you already have, what are the steps that you can take and what mental barriers do you need to overcome in order to live that life that's going to make you so much happier?
And what can people do to start proactively trying to overcome those obstacles?
Absolutely. So there's two different parts, right? If you are a person who you're unhappy with where you are, but you just don't know what's next, right? I've been there many times. And for that, it's about asking the right questions. So this is something that I think we vastly overlook as a society, of just assuming like we know what we want to do and what to do next, but we honestly have no idea. And so a lot of times I wish that I had had someone to ask me these questions when I was in high school and college, and each step along the way, to start to really understand, who are you? What do you like to do? What do people tell you you're good at? What do people ask you for help with? What do you enjoy doing? What is there a market for? Again, all of these questions that I work with clients to walk through, that surprisingly, it's like nobody's ever asked them before. They've never thought about it. And you know all these answers inside of you. But again, a lot of people don't take the time to walk step by step, to think about it and think how they might all connect, to so clearly say, this is what I'm meant to be doing. And it might not be forever. Like I've done this along the way, and it's what's the next step? And then from there, you might learn something new, and you kind of take this little course of you keep listening to these clues to get to where you want to go. But the first step is having someone, whether it's me, whether it's someone else, to ask you these questions and start to figure that out. So from there, the other part is the fear that holds you back. So let's say you get through those questions, or you already, many of you listening might say, I already know what I want to do. I kind of have this intuition. I want to start this business, or I want to go into this industry, but you're in this safe little bubble that you don't want to leave. And it's really hard. And I don't say that lightly, but your life will be so much better when you take that leap. So from there, I work really heavily with people to overcome those fears, overcome the limiting beliefs. And for every person, it's different. So, one tactical exercise I can give you just to do in your own time are what I call limiting beliefs that are stopping you. It's the fear that's holding you back from doing what you need to do. And so over the course of, let's just call it 3 days, I want you to, over the next 3 days, and maybe we'll give you a worksheet that you can download at the end of this, to write down as you're thinking about what you want to do. Anytime as you're thinking about it, or over the course of the next 3 days, write down whatever is coming into your brain, that voice that is not yours, that you think is yours, that is stopping you, that's holding you back, that says, but I can't afford this, but I've never done it, but there's other people doing it. There's other people doing it better. Who am I to teach this? Who am I to start a business? Who am I to travel the world, and leave the corporate world behind? Whatever it is that comes to your mind, I want you to write it down. And then as you do it, I want you to write 3 bullet points underneath each of those that says why that's not true, right? Your mind is there to protect you. It's there to keep you safe. The things your family, your friends, society are telling you to keep you safe. So write down, again, if I were to say, with a college admissions business, I wasn't a college admissions officer. So, I might have had this fear of, who am I to teach college admissions? And then I would go and write down, okay, but I can learn everything I need to know, but I've been through the process. And actually, I can teach this in a better way because I do know less and I can relate to these people more. And once I learn it, I can explain it a whole lot better than people who forgot what it was like, right? So as each thing comes, whether it's that or whether it's, I can't make money while traveling the world. Go find 4 people on Instagram who are doing that and write it down and follow their story. Write down any reasons you can think of why that fear that's holding you back isn't necessarily true. And I think you'll find that the fears that are in your head are somewhat real. They're valid, right? They're there for a reason, but they shouldn't hold you back. And once you realize the reasons that they don't need to, it all becomes more doable.
Yeah. And I feel like that exercise and that piece of advice is really applicable to people at any stage in their journey.
Absolutely.
Because it's like, even if you already are a business owner, you've
Yes.
already left the corporate world, you are an entrepreneur, or you already are a digital nomad, and
Yes.
you're traveling the world full time and you're living that particular dream. Well, there's tons of other stuff
Yes.
that you may be afraid of, or you may have limiting beliefs about, or I could never write a book or
Yes.
be a keynote speaker or be a TEDx speaker or do this or do that, or whatever the next level is
Absolutely.
for you, then that is also applicable to this exercise.
I love that. That's so important. We're talking about right now kind of the beginning stages, but these mindset shifts, again, I love to work with anybody, because whatever level you're at, they say if you're not growing, you're dying, right? So whether you want to take it to the next level of making more money in your business, or starting a new part of your business, or writing that book, or becoming the speaker, or becoming a thought leader, whatever it is, you have limiting beliefs. And even Oprah, even the most successful people, it's like, you don't stop experiencing these things. Your brain is there to keep you safe, to put these fears in your head, and you're there to know in your gut and your heart what you want to be doing. So again, no matter where you are, this exercise is so fabulous, because we have all these negative thoughts in our heads of why we can't do things. And this exercise really gets you to look simplistically of like, okay, wait, I can do this. There's no reason I can't.
Right, exactly. I think the mindset stuff is super important. And one of the things you said earlier, when you were creating incentives for yourself to be successful in this business. And once this business is successful, it's producing passive income, we're going to use that to travel the world, to do this epic stuff, to all this sort of thing. Can you talk a little bit about creating vision for what you want to achieve with this thing you're working on, or this transition you're trying to make, make, or this next level you're trying to get to, how do you create that incentive and that vision in an effective way? And what is sort of the mindset work there?
Yeah, the vision is so important. And there's so many parts of this. So the mindset, I think when I became an entrepreneur, mindset is 90% of it, right? The execution, the ideas, the tactics, you can learn that. But to have the mind to feel confident, to overcome the fears, to overcome the limiting beliefs and do these things, it's all the work. And if you listen to any podcast, any entrepreneur, any book, you'll see that that's absolutely the case. So that kind of blew my mind when I started. So in terms of the vision, it's so important to know what you want to achieve, because if you're just kind of doing things blindly, you're going to end up nowhere. So do you want to write that book? Do you want to become a speaker? Do you want to travel the world? And I say, start with the end in mind, right? So for me, becoming a digital nomad, traveling the world while I was working, that was everything for me. And everything I did in my business, back to when I was baking brownies, I didn't want to open a store because I wanted to be traveling the world. When I was starting my college business, I didn't want to do one-on-one coaching, even though that would have been easier, because at the time, I didn't want to have time zone restrictions. I didn't want to be tied down. And so that's why I built my online course. So it's okay to do that. Again, start with the lifestyle you want, what you want to do, and build backwards. In terms of the vision, I really, really love to create a vision board, and I alter mine about every 6 months. And it's a really fabulous way to kind of write your goals down on paper. But I think text and words only go so far, and you're not going to look at it all the time. So I have a process that I walk that I've got a guide I can share with you guys of exactly how to create these. But you kind of write down all of your goals, the things you want to achieve, the things you want to do in this next 6 to 12 months. And you find visual images that are really stimulating, that inspire you. Do you want to travel to Machu Picchu? Do you want to buy that new car? Do you want to make new friends? Do you want to go to dinner with your family? Do you want to exercise? Whatever it might be that are your goals, you find these visual images that stand for that excite you. And for me, I have it as a background on my computer because I'm traveling. If I was home, I would tape it up in my closet or in my bathroom mirror or wherever works for you. And your mind is so powerful. So your mind doesn't know what's real and what's not, which is kind of wild. So if you are looking at these pictures, at these visions day in and day out of, someone standing on a stage if you want to be a speaker, or someone, these incredible destinations that you want to get to, it's almost like subliminal messaging day after day of these are the things I want, these are the things I want. And you are more likely to take action to get there because of it.
I agree with that 100%. I think it's really important to bombard yourself. Yourself with sensory stimulation that is going to motivate and inspire you to do things. And that is certainly includes visual stimulation of the vision board concept. Also includes audio stimulation of who are the most inspiring, podcasters, or what are the most inspiring books, or that kind of stuff, videos, and just figuring out, this entire content, ecosystem that you can just pump into your brain, into your eyes, into your ears, into your head, and just like push it into yourself every day. Yeah. And it's especially like 100 times even more important if you're not currently surrounded by people that are doing exactly what you aspire to do. And if you're surrounded by people that are not doing what you're trying to do, and they might even be, say, holding you back.
Let's just say they might be.
Let's just say, I don't know, some people I've heard have, family and friends and social circles
some
that
people,
maybe
they might.
are not doing insanely epic stuff that they want to do, and might be telling you that you can't, or you shouldn't, or it's not responsible, or it's not realistic, or you can't do it. Yeah. Under those circumstances, it's 100 times more important.
Yeah. And I want to talk about that because during those, the past 3.5 years that I've been, flipped my life upside down and changed this, my friends, my circle became people on Instagram, people on Facebook, people on podcasts and books that I was reading. And again, I love with all of my heart, my friends, my family, everyone at home, they're living a different lifestyle than I want to live. I wanted to be traveling the world, and no one that I knew was doing that while working. And so for me, I started following all of these people on Instagram who were traveling the world, running businesses. I joined Facebook groups of communities who were learning like I was. And they became, I feel like everyone says this at this point, it's like, you're the people you have 5 people you spend the most time with. And I was spending the most time with my people on Facebook and Instagram as I locked myself out in my apartment and built these businesses, because no one wants, they're not purposely holding you back. They want the best for you. They want you to be safe. They want you to be happy. Your friends and family love you. But if you're trying to do something different, you've got to, before I started traveling the world, now I'm here with you, surrounded by people who are doing it, and my life changes. And I am so inspired when I'm in this group. But if I'm ever back home, I turn to social media and podcasts and books to remember that it's possible.
You have to do it. I mean,
it's
vitally, crucially imperative, I think, to surround yourself with people that are doing what you want to do, and people that are at your level or beyond and above your level, and just surround yourself with them and get the inspiration and motivation. And if you can't physically do that because they're not in your physical location right now, it is incumbent upon you to just pump that information and that stimulation into your dome on a daily basis. I mean, it's the only way to do it.
It truly is. I mean, it's just so important. I can't say that enough, to inspire yourself through any way possible that you can.
Let's talk a little bit about those transitionary moments when you are kind of transcending and making those major transitions and making those major leaps and overcoming those fear barriers. Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about the sort of concept of identity adjustments? And, you're very invested and you've developed a level of expertise in a particular area. And then if you're like, you know what, it's really not quite as fulfilling for me. I want to go in this other direction. But now all of a sudden you're starting from ground zero and you have this massive learning curve and you're not the top person in the space. In fact, you're very far from being an expert. But can you talk about that sort of the transition to the role of your identity in that?
Yeah. I want to talk about it from my own experience first, then we'll give you some examples. And I know you have some as well. So for me, I spent these 6 years at Pepsi, and all my friends, all my family, it was like the cool job. And I was working at this huge corporation and getting paid well and working with celebrities and walking red carpets. And then I quit my job and I started baking brownies. And there was about a year time when anybody asked me what I was doing, I wanted to take a knife and stab myself in the gut. And I was like, I used to be doing that. I would always say, I used to be doing this. I used to work for Pepsi. I used to do this. I used to do marketing. I used to live in New York. I used to live in LA. I used to do all of these things. And I would think to myself, oh my God, I quit my job to bake brownies. Who am I? What am I doing? My identity was a marketer for Pepsi. And I work with clients now who, have spent money and time going to law school, and they have an identity as a lawyer, as an important person, and they hate it. It's not what they like. But there's this sunk cost of the time and the money and the prestige of I am a lawyer, where people know it, people get it. When people ask me what I do now, I'm like it's hard to explain, right? No one gets it. And there's something to be said about doing something that people understand, that's easy, that's prestigious. I work with so many college students, for example, whose families they're doctors or they're engineers, and they get to college and they're like, that's the identity of my family, but it's not what I want to do, but it's what I need to do. And so there's all of these barriers to overcome. And I want to explain that they're really important. I think a lot of people overlook that identity, that prestige, that ease of doing something important versus trying something different that's going to make you happier. And that's where the mindset work comes in. That's where I love to help people, because it's not easy. Your friends, your family are going to judge you until you're successfully doing things. And it's a lot to overcome, and it's real. It's very real.
Yeah, it's super real. And I feel like it also, this is the same phenomena that happens with a lot of retirees.
Yeah.
Right? At the late stage of someone's career, they've been working at oftentimes the same career their entire life.
Yeah,
they're up to
who they are,
very high level. It's really funny because my parents are now retired in Asheville, North Carolina.
Right.
And my parents are literally my 2 favorite humans on the planet
They're the
of
best.
Earth. They're amazing. And I know you have an amazing relationship with your parents too. Which is awesome. But my parents have retired in Asheville, North Carolina. And, my dad left his job and he was a CEO before he left his job. And of course, there's a lot of, prestige and all this kind of stuff that goes along with, being a CEO. And there's tons of other people that are retired that are living near them that were also CEOs, or they were kind of high profile people in their spaces.
Yeah.
And now they're not.
Yeah.
And now they're retired. And,
what do they say?
And what's amazing is that different people handle that in different ways. So my parents, fortunately, like I'm really, really happy and pleased that my parents are crushing retirement. In my opinion. They're crushing it. Like they are just living life to the fullest and pursuing their passions and continuing to learn and experience new things. So they're traveling to places they've never been. They're about to go to the Galapagos Islands and Machu Picchu. They just booked a trip to Egypt. They've never been to the continent of Africa. So they're doing new things. They're experiencing new things. They're taking classes at the university. Right, they're in Asheville, so they're taking classes at the University of North Carolina, Asheville, learning things. They've got season tickets to the men's and women's basketball games. They are at every single game early. They stay till the end. They mentor the athletes and the students, and they're contributing to the community. And they're my dad's golfing. I don't know, 5 times a week.
Amazing.
I mean, they're doing the stuff that they love. They're contributing. They're socializing. They're really living life to the fullest, and they're taking advantage of the fact that they don't need to spend time in an office to do insanely fulfilling things, which are the real things, right? Having meaningful friends and doing things that you love and enjoy, mentoring and helping others, traveling and having, exhilarating, new cultural experiences, all the stuff that's important in life. They're doing it and they're crushing it. And they're actually thankful that they don't have to spend 8 to 12 hours in an office every day, right? Like they're like, okay, how can I leverage this? But a lot of their neighbors, right? Not, it's like this whole identity shift, right?
It's huge.
And so there's this joke, right? In the area my parents are, where there's a lot of people that they call PIPs, previously important people.
I love that so much because that's everything that holds us back, right? A previously important person. I couldn't have said it better myself. And people get stuck in that. I was, if I leave, if I try something new, if I do something, I'm not going to be important anymore. I was previously important in this role, in this career, in this and that. And we let it define us. So, when I work with clients, what I love to coach is to realize, so many people think about when I meet this person, when I get married, when I get this promotion, when I have kids, when I get into this next business that I want to do. And it's when I do this, if I do this, when I do this, that's how we judge ourselves. And what I help people with is you are a person right now. This is your life right in this moment. No matter what you're doing, it doesn't matter. And so it's all about who you are and what your mission is and what you're experiencing. And I think something that I truly love about the digital nomad community and about travelers compared to my old life, when I met people in New York and LA, it's like, hey, who are you? What do you do? Right? That's what people ask. What do you do? And I'll meet people traveling. I was on a trip. Where was I? In Indonesia last fall. And I went on this weekend trip to these islands and I was with these people for 3 days. And in the car ride back on the way, someone said they had a business thing to do. And I was like, what do you even do? I don't know. And someone else in the car said, that's what I love. You don't even need to know what she does. And it's purposeful. I think that travelers, we're more about experiences. Who are you? Who are you as a person? What do you enjoy? Where do you like to travel? What do you like to do as in your free time? Who do you like to help? What are you interested in? What excites you? And it doesn't matter how maybe that involves how you make your money and maybe it doesn't. But I just want it to feel like, again, the previously important person, like there's next steps to take where who are you as a person? How do you want to live your life? That is more important than what you do.
Yeah, 100%. And I feel like there's a lot of people that really put a lot of investment in this sunk cost fallacy.
Absolutely.
Like, oh man, all my academic work was in this and all my work experiences in this. And now I'm at this point in my life where I'm really, really, really good at this thing.
Yes.
And if I were to totally transition, go in a totally new direction, I'd be starting from ground zero. Yeah. I wouldn't be good. Yeah. I would not be above average. I'd have to learn everything from all over and I'd have to reconstruct my whole identity and everything else. And so therefore, maybe I should just stay where I am.
Yeah. And that's what 90% of people do. And people are so unhappy because you have this calling to do more. And it might be, again, this is where I love to help and coach people, but it might be that you take what you've learned and whether you do something totally new or you use those skills in a new way that only you can uniquely do with your passions and your past experiences. And that's where it becomes so strong of how can you leverage your personality and your experience and your past career to do something new that no one else can do.
Well, and that was really important for me in my transition,
yeah.
Right? Because as you know, my entire background, academic background, graduate work, and all my work experience was in nonprofit advocacy stuff, right? And like my nonprofit advocacy stuff was like from the heart. Yeah. I cared about it. I knew every single day I was making a positive impact and creating positive change in the world and like helping to like, support group, people that were in struggle or that were marginalized, that were oppressed. And I was really doing important work.
That was your identity, right?
Yeah. And then I was like, oh, if I go the business route, am I selling out? Yeah. Am I not helping people?
So how did you overcome that?
What I did is, well, first of all, I recruited as my business partner, my best friend, Valerie, who first of all did her master's degree with me. We both have a degree in international peace and conflict resolution. And we've both done human rights activist work internationally together. And we both worked in the nonprofit space. And so I knew that was going to keep some grounding there. But what we did is we asked the question, how could we maintain and continue to contribute and, have the same sort of moral compass and the same contribution framework, the same worldview if we went the entrepreneurial route. And we asked the question, how could we? Right? Not can we, yes or no, but how could we?
That's such an important frame.
Yeah.
How can I do this?
How can we?
You can.
So we said, okay, we're going to set up a business that number one is going to help all of our customers by purchasing cash flowing real estate. They're going to be building income generating assets that is going to produce passive cash flow that's going to help fund their lifestyle expenses, allow them to have more time and control over their life, more location independence, and help them build their wealth in a way that gives them the freedom to either spend more time with their family, travel the world, do whatever they want to do. So we're literally improving people's lives by what we're selling, first of all, our customers. Second of all, we're going to institutionalize a component into our company where we're going to donate 10% of all of our net revenue to causes that affect positive change in the world. So when you're working at a nonprofit, you're not making any money yourself, basically. You're getting a salary that covers your bare bones living expenses. So you're donating your time, but you're not donating any money because you don't have any money to donate. So we're like, okay, let's build this business. And number one, we're going to have more control over our own time. So we can direct our volunteer work as we choose with our time. Plus, we're going to, as the business becomes more successful, we're going to financially incentivize ourselves that as that happens, so too will all of the causes that we care about become, because you're going to get more money because it's percentage based. And so we really thought about that. How could we build a socially responsible business that is benefiting our customers and that's benefiting these causes we care about? And so we are motivated for the business to do better because in addition to facilitating our lifestyle of location independence and being able to travel the world and spend more time with our own families each year and see the world and all this kind of amazing stuff, we're also helping our customers and we're also contributing to these causes all at the same time. And so we established our why really, really early on. And that was the core motivator for our business.
I love that. And that's something I really struggled with in the beginning as I started my own business I used to feel bad about wanting to make money and starting these, the businesses, whatever it is. And exactly as you're saying, I too have the same model of donating 10% to a cause that I care about and that I'm excited about. And I realized that the more money I can make to become my best self, to travel, to meet new people, to learn new experiences, to learn about cultures, the more I'm able to help people and it trickles down. And so again, the more money I make, the more I learn, the more open I become. I can then pay to go to conferences and to learn and to explore and grow and become my own best self. And that was a huge, huge mindset shift that I, again, love to help other people with because it's a real thing to grow, become better, make your own money to help other people in a new and different way. And so again, whether it's your time, whether it's your money, I truly believe that by living your own best life, whether that means travel, starting a new job, doing a different type of work, whatever it is, if you're a better person and you're happier, you are going to bring joy to more people. And I believe that with all of my heart.
I agree authentically and sincerely with 100% of that. That's totally true. So let's talk a little bit about our shared passion for travel.
Yeah.
And I want to just start by asking you, you've now been to over 45 countries and you're a full-time itinerant nomad, which is amazing and inspiring and awesome. And you and I have now been to multiple countries together, in fact, and hung out in incredible places. But let me ask you just from the very macro level.
Yeah.
Why do you travel?
Yeah.
What does it mean to you?
I love that. So when I first started traveling and wanted to start getting to new countries and go to new places, in my head, it was about checking off a new box, checking off a new country, going to bucket list places. When I go to a country, it was like, here are the top things that, top 5 things that tourists do. And I would get there with friends I knew and I would go explore and see and go back home. And when I became, the reason I became a digital nomad, the reason I wanted to travel was to keep doing it in this way. But I felt like I didn't have enough vacation days to get to countries. I felt like I would never get places. But when I first started, I really thought that's what it was about. I just want to get places and I want to see the things you're meant to see. And about 9 months ago, I started traveling in a different way. And I went for, months on end, left my apartment, left my friends, and everyone said, isn't it scary to travel alone? Like, what are you going to do? Who are you going to meet? And I was like, no, it's fine. But what I really, really quickly learned was that as I looked back, I spent my first 4 months abroad in this more permanent way in Southeast Asia. And I had been wanting to go to these bucket list places in Thailand and go to the islands. And what I very quickly learned was that it didn't matter where I was going or what I was seeing. That was an added benefit. What was so incredible was the people that I met and the type of people who travel, who are traveling or working or just backpacking or whatnot, or just the people that you meet locally is incredible. It's these people who have a different mindset. And as I look back on my favorite memories, it's just weird travel things that have happened and incredible people that I've met. And it happens to be that I'm in, crazy places or new countries. But now, for an example, we're in Lisbon at this moment in Portugal. There's some places that, if I had come years ago, I would say, these are the 5 places I want to see. There's some towns in the south that I know I would like, but I've met all these awesome people on this cruise the past 5 days who are all going to be in Porto this weekend. And I don't care where I'm going. I want to be with them because it's about the people that I'm with and experiencing and less about where I am or what I'm doing. And so it's just this total shift, and would love to know your thoughts on it as well.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, for me, the community aspect has been super, super important. It's been really exciting to see the proliferation of companies that have come into the space over the last 5 years or so.
Yeah.
Like when I started traveling full time, I gave up my apartment in LA, which is my last location where I had a base.
Last known address.
Last known address where I had a base.
That?
And I gave up the apartment in the summer of 2013. And so, 6 years ago, I've now been traveling the world with no permanent base as an itinerant nomad. And I've lived in 51 different countries since 2013. And what's been amazing to see over those 6 years is that companies have come into the digital nomad space to cater to people like me who are professionals that work remotely and want to travel the world, but want to have a socially sustainable life. They want, that pillar is super important to have community.
So incredibly important.
So important. And so, I had traveled for years prior to plugging into any of these organized work travel communities.
Right. Same.
And then as soon as I started when they came into the space and I said, there's a company called Remote Year, which is the first one that I patronized. And they said, we're going to bring a community of 30 to 50 people together. And we're going to commit to traveling the world for a year together as an intentional community and live in a different city each month for 12 months with the same group.
And we're
all committing to be a community together.
Yep.
I'm like, first of all, where do I sign up for that?
Sign me up now.
Yeah, sign me up now. Second of all, I want to meet any person that's willing to sign up for that. Because anybody that's willing to do that, leave their friends and family and everything they know behind and commit to traveling the world for a year up front with 30 to 50 at the time strangers that you've never met, at minimum is an interesting person.
You will meet some interesting people.
At minimum, they're interesting because who does that?
The best people.
And I want to hear their story. Every single one of them, I want to hear that story. And second of all, I want to roll with those people. I mean, like that is my squad. Those are my people. I want to go explore the world and have epic adventures with them. And that's exactly what we did.
Yeah.
For a whole year on 4 continents.
You meet people at a whole different level.
Just had epic adventures. And basically by the end, everybody that finished the program, I mean, it's family for life.
Your family
for life, right? And then since then, I've been patronizing other work travel programs, right? Hacker Paradise and Wanderers to Life. And I'm going to hopefully participate in Wi-Fi Tribe soon, which I know you have done as well, right?
Come and join us.
Yeah. Well, tell me about that. How has your experience been in plugging into some of those programs? What's that been like?
Absolutely. So Wi-Fi Tribe has been really important to me the same way Remote Year was the kickoff for you. And Remote Year was the first one I read about, somehow found out, and I was like, this is incredible. People are traveling the world, they're going to these different countries. And for me, that was less flexible than I wanted to be. You know, I had certain places I wanted to go, and I don't knock one or the other. I think everyone I've met from Remote Year has absolutely loved it. So I started with Wi-Fi Tribe, which is similar to Remote Year in terms of living a month at a time with like-minded people who are actually working. So, you know, they're not just backpacking, they are working and living in these places. And what I loved about Wi-Fi Tribe specifically was that it was really flexible. So they have several places at any given month that are new places throughout the world. So, you know, they might be in Lisbon for a month. It might be, you know, I started in Bali for a month and then Thailand my next month. But, you know, at any given time, they're in Africa or Central America or Asia, or all over the world. And what I think is the best part about it that I love is that you're all starting this month and ending the month at the same time. So you're going in together. It's a brand new group of people, and they become your family so quickly. So, you know, compared to my friends at home who might see for a couple of hours a week, if I'm lucky to like grab dinner with them after work or hang out on the weekend, you jump into these new places. Like I showed up in Bali, and I want to backtrack for a second to say my family, my friends thought I was insane. They're like, you're going to Asia, you don't know anyone. And I'm like, you guys don't get it. There's people there. They're waiting for me. It's going to be my friends, my family. I've never met them, but I just know. And, you know, the first day I got to Bali at 3 a.m. I was a couple of days late because I had a wedding. Somebody was waiting up for me in this home at 3 a.m. to let me in. I woke up the next day, went to breakfast with a couple of, I say, quote unquote friends. I never met them, but they were my friends. And then worked in a cafe with them all day. The first day I landed on this new continent, went to a gym, like went to a boxing class with a friend, and then had this family dinner with 15 people, part of Wi-Fi Tribe in Bali. And it was like, these are my friends. These are my people. I get there and it's just all set up, and I can keep doing my work without skipping a beat. I have this built-in group of friends who are like-minded people who want to travel and explore and do all the things, but are actually working and have a business, and you have your fun and you're serious as well. So I've continued to travel with Wi-Fi Tribe for several months. They're my family. I've met incredible people who I meet at, you know, I'm in Lisbon right now. I'm meeting up with Croatia with a friend who I met on Wi-Fi Tribe in Thailand, who I traveled throughout Southeast Asia with afterwards. And it's this incredible community that I will keep calling on. And, you know, I'll be in Guatemala in a month with them soon. I'm going to go to Bolivia, maybe Oman. Like, it's incredible. So for those of you who are worried about, you know, will I be alone? What if I travel? You know, the first 4 months I spent 3 nights alone, and I was like, this is nice. I could use this. There's people everywhere, and they're incredible people.
It's amazing. I mean, well, first of all, you and I actually know a number of overlapping people, right? Shout out to Leah.
Shout out to Leah.
By the way, who's amazing. Who I met on the Nomad Cruise, and I actually met. So to go all the way back in terms of my meeting Wi-Fi Tribe people, even though I've literally never done the program yet, but I've been promising
you.
I've been promising Julia that I'm going to do it ever since I met her.
You coming to Oman.
But my super amazingly good friend who did Remote Year with me, Nicole, she was, after Remote Year, started doing Wi-Fi Tribe.
Yeah.
right? And she was in Tagazout, Morocco with Wi-Fi Tribe, and I was in Marrakesh.
Yep.
I was doing a remote year sort of alumni. I was plugging into a different remote year group as an alumni, which you can do after you finish the program, which is amazing. So I was in Marrakesh and she was in Tagazout. And so I went out to visit her, stay with the Wi-Fi Tribe people, and like basically hung out with them for 24 hours.
We're awesome.
And I was like, I'm going on the Nomad cruise. And they were like, we're bringing 15 tribe people on the Nomad cruise. So I hung out with our mutual friend Leah, who was amazing, and she actually jumped into my workshop and was such an amazing contributor to my minimalist packing workshop. It was really funny because I was doing a workshop on how to travel the world for a year plus with carry-on luggage only, right? And she was like, I need am to do that. The greatest need of this workshop of any human being on this cruise. She's like, I've basically just come on like this 9-night cruise and I have this obscene amount of luggage for 9 nights.
She's traveling carry-on now.
I know she is because she came to my workshop. So it was amazing. And she literally approached me.
Changed her life.
Yeah, she was like, let me be your case study.
Yeah.
And during the workshop, let me bring my gigantic luggage. And then you bring your suitcase, and I want to downsize what I've brought in, fit it all into your suitcase. And whatever I can't fit, I'm going to leave behind on my next trip. And I'm only going to take the stuff that fits in the carry-on. And let's do it together as a case study. So it was hilarious. This was literally like the night before my workshop. And all of a sudden now I have a case study, with Leah, which was amazing. And of course we hung out and went, did wine vineyard tours in Greece and just had this totally epic time together over the course of the 9 days that we were together. But yeah, and then she of course turns out to be one of your best friends, and we know each other through that and all that. So like the way that these nomad circles and the social circles and the ecosystems overlap is just amazing. And you'll see these people just again and again and again over the course of the year on these different travel circuits and these different nomad events. And so, the way that I travel the world now is I am regularly plugging in everywhere I go.
Yep.
It's either as a remote year alumni plugging into a new remote year group, or plugging into a Hacker Paradise group, or a Wanderers to Life group, or hopefully future a Wi-Fi Tribe group. Or any of these programs. I fully support all of them with all of my heart, and I hope they all succeed incredibly well. But every single place that I go, I know that there is a community waiting for me to come. They know I'm coming. They can't wait to meet me, explore the city with me, hang out with me. And it's just, those are my people.
Yeah. I think that's so important that a lot of people, I didn't fully understand before I started it. And I think a lot of people is a fear that holds them back, right? You have this dream to travel, but you don't want to go alone. You're afraid to do it. And now the world is different. Like there are so many different, Matt just named like 5 different ways that you can plug into these communities, whether it's remote, your Wi-Fi Tribe, Hacker Paradise, outside, these co-living spaces, they're everywhere. And you'll find that, I almost compare it to my college experience. So I went to the University of Michigan, which is this huge school. And everyone's like, well, isn't this it's so giant? Like, how can you meet anyone? And I said, I can't walk around campus without seeing a million people I know. And you find your group and you find your people and they're everywhere. And it's the same with travel. I feel we just spent this week on Nomad Cruise where there was 222 of us. These are people that are now part of our network wherever we go. And I feel like now, no matter what country I go to, no matter what city I go to, wherever I am, I'm going to know people from all over the world, and they're incredible people, and you keep experiencing them, and you are never alone. It's like, even if you want to be alone, you can't be, because there's people
Doesn't matter where you go.
Does not matter.
And in addition to the people that you have actually personally met, when you do these programs, you get put into the alumni networks.
Yes.
And so even people that you've never personally met, but have done the same program, all of a sudden you have access to them.
Yeah.
And as soon as you meet them, you have this shared experience. So you're family immediately, even though you've never met on like the first night. So like I was going last year to, just as an example, to Nairobi, Kenya.
Yep.
For a month with a group called Wanderers to Life.
Yep.
And so they curated a community of people that were going to do this, work travel program, be based in Nairobi, Kenya for a month. Okay. So in addition to that community, right, which one of the people I had met in Hacker Paradise, I referred as well, who listeners will know, Allie Green from episode 12, because I interviewed her on the Maverick show, who's amazing. So Allie actually came to Kenya, which is where we did the interview. So I knew her from Hacker Paradise. The rest of the people I met through the Wondrous Life group that was curated there.
Yep.
Then from the Nomad cruise that I had gone on just prior to going to Kenya, I had met 3 Kenyans, right? And so I said, hey, I'm coming to Kenya, right? Plus a Ugandan who invited me to come to Kampala and show me Uganda. So I knew all of a sudden all of these East Africans who were back in East Africa who wanted to show me their homelands, right? Then I just do a random post. Now, Kenya has never been a remote year city. Remote year's never taken a group there. They've never been there, no presence there. But I put out on the Remote Year Alumni Network, by any chance, is anybody going to be in Nairobi in September? 6 people are like,
6.
I'll be in Nairobi, I'll be in Nairobi, I'll be in Nairobi. So all of a sudden, I now have 6 Remote Year people who are going to be in Nairobi, one of whom is Kenyan. So we do a Remote Year meetup, and the Kenyan guy brings his whole Kenyan crew, right? And I start talking to them, and I'm like, oh yeah, they're like, well, where are you going after this? I was like, oh, I'm flying to Kyoto, Japan. I'm going to be in Japan for 5 weeks. And his Kenyan friend, right, who I've never met before, that he brought is like, oh, I just got back from Japan. I lived there for 7 years. I speak fluent Japanese.
What?
You know, Kenyan guy,
Crazy.
right? I'm like, what? He's like, you want some recommendations? I was like, of course I do. So it's just like, these networks just proliferate. And so any city that I end up in, it could be in East Africa, as this example I just gave. And all of a sudden I know just tons and tons and tons of people, or I'm in networks with people that we have such a close affinity in the shared experience that they want to meet up and they want to hang out. And so you're never alone when you're traveling the world.
Never. And I think it's important, like this, I want to, for anyone listening, I want to point out that like, this is not just Matt's experience, right? Like this is for anybody. It's so easy. When you're at home and in these safe places, you're friends with the people you used to know. And it's like, that's your circle. You don't need to know anyone else. But travelers are so open to meeting new people because you want a community. You need to know people wherever you go. And truly, there's people everywhere. And if you want to do this as a lifestyle, take the leap and you will not be alone. You will never be alone.
And you'll have just insane.
And the most incredible people.
Yeah, incredible people. And you'll just have epic experiences and stories to tell.
Yeah.
I want you to share at least one travel story. And you've done one thing. I've lived in Spain for probably 4 months and I've seen almost all of the country. But you were just telling me about this experience that you had in Spain with this tomato fight, which I've never been to. Can you just share what that was like and what it is?
Yeah, it's really special. It's called the Tomatina Festival. I had a friend from college who had been dying to do this for like 5 years. And every year she was like, let's go. And I was maybe another time. And finally I just said, all right, whatever. I like to travel. I'll go wherever. You want to go to Spain? Let's go. So the Tomatina Festival happens. It's about an hour outside Valencia every September, I believe it was, we went. And you go to this small town in the middle of nowhere and it's filled with tens of thousands of people lining these streets, and they throw it's like 20,000 pounds of tomatoes or something insane, where you are, if you can imagine being at the most crowded concert you've ever been at, where you can't move, you can't walk, like someone's basically holding you up. If they move, you'll fall. Imagine that in these like small street towns in this small town in Spain. And you're just waiting. Everyone is wearing goggles for what's about to happen. And like these garbage trucks come through with tomatoes that are the perfect ripeness, that they're not so hard that if they throw them at you, they will not hurt you. And they come through these thousands of people. So you're even more packed in, and they're throwing tomatoes at you. And I say it's not like a tomato here and there. It is thousands of pounds of tomatoes, and you're covered in tomatoes. Your goggles are so tomato filled you cannot see. And by the end of it, imagine this in a town. The streets are knee deep in tomatoes, like liquid tomato. Like you never want to eat a tomato again. And people are just throwing them. It's a food fight. It's the biggest food fight in the world, I'm pretty sure. And it's one of those experiences that I went to is like the most fun thing you never, ever want to do it again, ever. But I mean, it was an experience for sure.
And you got a story to tell.
Got a story to tell. I mean, it's all about the stories to tell, right? That was one.
It is. Yeah, it's amazing. You go around the world and you just
These
see
crazy,
this insane,
weird, wild
crazy
things.
stuff, and you just participate in it. And
Why
you just have
not?
these epic stories
Why
to tell.
not?
So great. Awesome. All right, Marissa, at this point, are you ready to move into the lightning round?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
The lightning round.
All right. What is one book that has really influenced you over the years you'd most recommend that people check out?
Yeah. So the number one, this is not unique to me. Tim Ferriss' 4-Hour Work Week changed my life. I read that book in 2014. I was living out in LA, working for Pepsi, on vacation in Hawaii, reading on this beach I will never forget. And it changed my life. And since becoming a nomad, since talking to people, I am not unique. He changed so many lives reading this book to realize that you can live a different life. You can work online, travel the world, live and work a different way. And if the stories Matt and I are telling sound appealing to you, go read that book. It's just impacted so many nomads. So that's the first one. And then as a second, because I feel like that's like a cliche at this point, but a really important one for me was called It Starts With Why by Simon Sinek. And if you're wondering, what's your purpose? What do you want to do next? Who are you? What's your mission? I think that's a really fabulous one to read and to get to know yourself and to learn what's important to you.
Awesome. What is one app or productivity tool that you're currently using that you'd recommend?
I'm going to go with Canva for that one, Canva. So it's kind of like an easier version of Photoshop. And you can use it whether you want to create Instagram posts. I use it to create any PDFs, any freebies, any guides. You can use it for just about anything, to create imagery, to create, again, just any kind of tools that you need to use for your business. It's awesome and super intuitive. It's not hard to use.
Awesome. What is one blog you read or a podcast you listen to or YouTube show you watch, one content medium that you would highly recommend to people check out?
So many. I live and binge everything, but I'm going to go if the online courses resonated with you throughout this podcast, there's a woman named Amy Porterfield. Her podcast is called Online Marketing Made Easy. And when I bought 2 of her courses, I can't recommend her enough. If you want to learn to build a webinar, build an email list, she has tons of free podcast episodes. I would just go through and click on the episodes that were resonating with me at the time of where I was. And she is incredibly step-by-step, super tactical about things you need to know to build an online course and online business.
If you were able to have dinner with one person, either an author, celebrity, public figure, anybody that's currently living today, and it was just you and them for a few hours of dinner and wine and conversation, who would you choose and why?
I'm going to say Tony Robbins. So I recently, just a few weeks before I came here, was at one of his events called Unleash the Power Within. And I actually have my own coaching certification through Tony Robbins. I think he is one of the most incredible humans on this planet. I think he's an incredible businessman. The things that he has accomplished business-wise as a salesperson, as just an entrepreneur, is off the charts. So I'd love to learn from him from that. And then in terms of, he's a coach, he helps people with their lives, with their mindsets. I would just love to talk to him for any amount of time I could.
If you were able to go back in time and give one piece of advice to your 18-year-old self, knowing everything that you know now, what advice would you give to 18-year-old Marissa?
Yeah, one piece. I'm going to kind of mix in a couple in one. But basically, when I look back at my 18-year-old self, my high school, my college self, I thought I had to be on this path that was to be perfect, to do things that people felt proud of. And I would tell myself, don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to do things that aren't perfect, to try things that aren't impressive, and really just to follow what excited me, no matter what anybody else thought. And whether I failed, whether I tried, whether I did it, just to keep following those clues of what was exciting and what didn't matter to other people.
Awesome. All right, now we're going to get into the really, really important stuff.
I have a feeling I know where this is going.
When you and I first met, literally the first conversation that we had, we got into hip hop really quick.
Real quick.
And I learned that you are a major hip hop fan and that hip hop has been really important to you in your life and significant. Exactly. And maybe share a little bit about that, about where you're from and what it's meant to you. Feel free to give that context first. But then I want to ask you for your top 5 hip hop artists of all time.
All right. So to give a backtrack, we haven't talked about where I'm from. I am from Atlanta, which is a really special place in terms of hip hop music, in terms of rappers. And as I grew up, my friends in high school, like that is what we lived and breathed. It's a really important part of Atlanta culture. So when I met Matt, we got real quick into the hip hop space. So I'm going to list off the top 5 I gave to you in that moment. I think I would have to do some thinking, and there's a lot of incredible artists. But so number 1 I gave to you was Luda. We got to go Ludacris. I got to rep ATL. He's done a lot of really important songs in my life. So Ludacris is number 1. Number 2 was Lil Jon. And I want to preface that with like, the music is fine, but in terms of the joy he sparks in my life, I always said if I could have a GPS, he would be the voice of it. Like that's the important part of Lil Jon. So that's number 2. Number 3 was Twista. I love the speed at which he spits his rhymes. Number 4 was Kanye. And then number 5, I think was actually you reminding me of my love for him, but Bubba Sparks, ATL. I fucking love Bubba.
College Park, Bubba Sparks.
Represent. Love him.
Represent.
Gotta rep the A.
I love it. I love that. It's so awesome. It's so awesome. And that was such an amazing opening night conversation that we had and how deep we got into that. And of course, I asked you for your top 5 right off the bat. And you dropped them. And that was, I think, what. And then after that, we began talking about business and travel and everything else. But
all the other important things.
We got to the very important stuff first.
Yeah.
All right. So 2 final questions for you with respect to travel.
Okay.
You've been to at least 45 countries now. What are your top 3 travel destinations for you personally of all time?
Yeah. It's an impossible question, truly, because I think that each piece of a country and the people you meet, they all add different things. But to the best of my ability to answer that question, I'm going to say number 1 was Machu Picchu in Peru. I think it was an incredibly magical place to hike up to the top and see this incredible village that people built on top of this mountain. And it was I went for my mom's a birthday of hers, and it was just a really incredible travel experience. That's 1. Number 2, I'm going to go with Myanmar. So I did this hike from a town called Kala to Inlay Lake. It was a 2-day hike. I slept in a monastery. I was hiking with people from like France and Japan and South Africa, and one of those moments of incredible people and incredible landscapes and incredible locals. I think it's not yet overrun with tourists. And if you're listening to this right now, go before it is. It's awesome. That's number 2. And number 3, I'm actually going to say Torres del Paine in Chile. I think it's one of the most incredible natural landscapes. I love hiking. Matt knows, I've told him many times, I don't like to be in cities. I'm here in Lisbon, but I love the outdoors. I love to hike. I love to be in beautiful, beautiful landscapes. And there's something magical about it. So those are my top 3.
That's awesome. And Myanmar, I've never been to. Chile, I've been to, but I have not been to Torre del Paine. So
it's beautiful.
The W circuit hike is
do the W hike.
Totally on my list.
Do it.
And those
I'll go do it again. Anytime.
Those are big time on my list. Supposed to be some of the most amazing scenery in the world for sure. Okay, so of the places that you have not yet been,
yes,
what are the top 3 bucket list destinations highest on your list you'd most love to go that you've never been?
Love that question. So number 1, I want to go to Rwanda to see gorillas in their natural habitats. I love animals, love the outdoors. So that's a big one for me. Number 2 would be the Maldives. I love a good tropical beach. I could live my life on the beach. Like the sun is my place. And I think that that's just the most beautiful place in my mind. So the Maldives are number 2. And then number 3 along that theme would be the Polynesian islands like Tahiti, Bora Bora. I just want to explore the beaches of the world, basically. So those are mine.
I love
and the
that.
gorillas.
And the gorillas. I love that. That's awesome. All right, Marissa, I want you to let people know how they can get a hold of you, how they can follow you on social media, and how they can learn more about what you're up to.
Absolutely. So there's a couple places to start. If you go to, we'll link this in the show notes, I'm sure, but marissamedin.com/Maverick. We'll give you some awesome tools of some things we've talked about. Number 1, how to actually build a vision board, like step by step of the goals to write, how to do it, how to use Canva, my favorite tool to build it. I'll give you a worksheet about how to, overcome those limiting beliefs. We'll give you some questions to ask yourself if you're not sure of what to do next. So if any of those topics resonated with you along the way and you want to kind of enter that world, we'll link in the show notes. Again, marissamedin.com/Maverick to download some of those worksheets and helpful tools. So that's number 1. And then Instagram is just a fun place to follow me. I post stories, pictures of my travels at ML Medin is my last name. We'll post to that, link to that as well. But if you just want to see where I am and what I'm up to in my normal traveling nomadic life, come follow me there.
Awesome. And we are definitely going to link everything from the show notes. So if you just go to themaverickshow.com, we're actually going to have links to all of the resources that we talked about in the show, the books and the apps and everything Marissa's recommending, in addition to the website where you can get her free stuff and that awesome bundle of things. Just though, can you spell the URL just in case anybody wants to take it off the audio? We are going to link it up to the show notes, but how do you spell it?
Yeah, so it's Marissa, Marisa, my last name, Medin, meddin.com/Maverick.
Awesome. So you can go there to get your free bundle of cool stuff and get into Marissa's ecosystem. Come into my world. Come into her world.
It's a good world.
Learn more about the amazing stuff that she's up to and the people she's inspiring and all that good stuff. So Marissa, this has been amazing. It has been awesome to have you on the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Matt. It's been a blast as always.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Be sure to visit the show notes page at themaverickshow.com for direct links to all the books, people, and resources mentioned in this episode. You'll find all that and much more at themaverickshow.com.
Do you want to learn how to travel the world for a year plus with carry-on luggage only and look good while you're doing it? Go to themaverickshow.com/packing to see a free recorded webinar and learn exactly how Matt does it. He shows you the luggage he uses, the specific items he packs, and the travel brands he likes most. Even if you're just looking to go on shorter trips, but pack more efficiently and eliminate your checked luggage, you won't want to miss this. You can watch the free recorded webinar at themaverickshow.com/packing.
Learn how Maverick Investor Group can help you buy cash flowing rental properties in the best U.S. real estate markets, regardless of where you live. Schedule a free phone consult today at themaverickshow.com/consult. Now you can buy rental properties with tenants and local property management in place, so you don't have to be a landlord or a rehabber. To get your questions answered and discuss how Maverick Investor Group can help you meet your real estate investing goals, schedule your free phone consult today at themaverickshow.com/consult.